Hello everybody, and welcome back to All the Mods 10. In the previous episode, we got started with mystical agriculture, and we built these sort of little farms here where we're actually producing a ton of inferium, as well as the 4 basic elements. We made the infusion altar, as well as the awakening altar to actually awaken our supremium into awakened supremium. We also crafted this sword that is also made of superium, and it has the mystical enlightenment enchantment, specifically level 5, and that allows us to actually get cognizant dust from boss enemies. And cognizant dust is just used in the awakening ritual. We also continued on our journey towards the All the Mods star by getting a little bit further into the Philosopher's Fuel, the first item that we're actually working on towards the All the Mods star. We have about 4 of these ingredients now, and the reason that we got into mystical agriculture was actually the awakened supremium ingot block, which we crafted in the previous episode. However, we still needed to get the insanium coal block. Now, this requires about 18, I think I figured it out to be, of the insanium, which is the step above supremium. So I've just been kind of AFK, and I'll get to that in a second here. Let me figure out my keybinds here again. But I do now have 26,000 inferium. I'm hoping that that's enough. Let's see here. We needed 17 more. Oh, perfect. Okay, yeah. Not sure exactly how many we need. Looks like it did need 17,000, so that's probably going to take most of our essence. So while AFKing, I really wasn't AFK. I actually decided to build a few things that I've been meaning to build up on the platform up here. The first of which is over here. This is the Visitor Center, and this is sort of where we left off on the previous episode. And this is where we have our blocks for the All the Mods star. This is sort of how I think I want to do this, where I keep the ingredients here, and since these are barrels, you can actually lock them and take the item out, and the item will actually stay there. So this is kind of a good way of sort of keeping track and almost keeping these as like trophies. By the way, in between episodes, I also crafted this ender generator. It's not that hard to craft. I just needed to go through it. Needs some ender pearls, obsidian, diamonds, basically the same as any generator that you might build. So we have plenty of space in here for pretty much all of the items. I think there's one item that actually requires a big recipe. I think it's the Patrick Star. Let's see. Yeah. It just requires a mechanical crafter setup from Create. So we'll do that in a different way. I'm not entirely sure where we'll put it, but this drawer right here is where I want to put the All the Mods star when we're sort of done with the series. So as we continue on, I did do a little more decorations here in front of the hotel. I also put these letters sort of back inside of the concrete here. And I did this just using the framed double stairs from the framed block. And then I just used the, I don't remember exactly which block. I think it's the Luminex blocks or whatever, for the colors in the letters. And I think that looks just a little bit better than them just sticking out. So that's what we're going to stick with for now. So by the way, this is a visitor center. This is kind of how you enter the area up here. So there's a helipad on the top. This is where you would come in from the air. And then all the way down here at the bottom, I actually added this little elevator here that kind of goes all the way up through the leg here. It's pretty basic, but this is basically how you would get onto the platform from the ground. So we can just jump up and we end up inside. This little garden area I actually made, I think it was before last episode, and I just completely forgot to mention it. This is sort of our celebration of defeating some of the bosses. This is not the Wilden Chimera, this is a Wilden Defender. I still need to get a trophy for the Chimera, so yeah, I'll replace that once we do that. But this next area, I went pretty hard with decorating, because I wanted it to feel pretty cramped, pretty almost cyberpunky. And yeah, that's this wall here. Uh, this is sort of an alley between these two buildings, and I kind of wanted it to feel like a busy market street. So there's like crates down here on the ground. There's a barrel full of honey here. There's some of these onion crates, cabbage crates, tomato crate. And then we have all of these advertisements, these billboards here, and you can actually climb all the way up through these. These are andesite scaffolding, by the way. These are from the Create mod, and I thought they looked pretty nifty. These other blocks are factory blocks from the Factory Blocks mod, and then you just chisel those to look like that. And then I think it was andesite alloy casings, or blocks of andesite alloys actually, inside of framed fences here. I added a couple of trees here on the side as well, with some bushes, not overly detailed here, but these are custom trees, so that's pretty nice. Up here on the second floor, I added a planter box here, and some more decorations here. This is supposed to look like rust dripping down from the above levels. I kind of got tired of looking at a plain white wall, so adding a splash of color like that really helped sort of make this look a lot better. So inside, I've also decorated as well. This is sort of a little restaurant here, and there's some seating here. I think I had a little bit of seating in here before, I can't quite remember. You got some little trash cans, and then I have these framed pressure plates with red terracotta inside. These are supposed to almost look like trays, so you would dump your garbage out and then put your tray up here. And then, of course, you can order your food from this side with these paintings here. There's not really a good like menu painting in Minecraft, unfortunately. And then over here with the crates, this is just a very small detail. I just have a barrel here with a mug. This is from Mama's Merrymaking. And yeah, it's just supposed to look like somebody's just been sitting here drinking maybe some honey from this barrel. So yeah, I probably worked on this for about 5 or 6 hours last night. Yeah, I didn't mean to go that hard on it. I didn't really mean to take that much time with it, but here we go. It looks pretty nice though. Oh yeah, and these lampposts are actually illuminate columns from Simply Light. I really like how they just look like really nice street lights, so that's what I used here. So in the time that it took me to actually explain all of that, we still have not even crafted a single Insanium essence. I was also looking into this recipe as well. I thought that we needed to get into Evilcraft for this dark tank, but I actually looked into it, and this is Eclipse Ember fuel from Just Dire Things. The dark tank is just the container, and in fact I already crafted that. So we need to get into Just Dire Things. So to get this Eclipse Ember fuel, we need to craft Shadow Pulse goo, and I think we just surround that with unrefined Eclipse Ember fuel, which is crafted by placing Eclipse Ember inside of Void Flame fuel. And we get Void Flame fuel by, looks like putting either Shadow Pulse or Void Shimmer goo next to unrefined Void Flame fuel. This seems like a very nested, yeah, this is incredibly nested. So I think the best way to do this is to just get into Just Dire Things today. It's a mod that I've been meaning to try out for quite a while now. And in fact, probably 2 or 3 episodes into this series, I actually did start it, but I didn't do a lot with it, so I didn't really record what I was doing with it. But I crafted the pocket generator. This was just to keep my jetpack like fueled up a little bit. But Just Dire Things is an incredibly powerful mod, especially when we get into things like the Time Wand. The time wand will actually allow us to accelerate items, making them produce a lot faster. However, that's definitely an N tier item, and we still need to start at step 1, which is going to be the Primogel glue, or goo, sorry. So we craft just one of these, and then we're going to need, I think it's 6 blocks of iron. We have plenty of blocks of iron here. And I think I'm going to disable shaders for just this episode, because this block actually has a pretty cool effect. So when we place it next to a block of iron, it'll actually begin to spread, and we'll see that soon. However, we need to fuel this with an item. So we need to fuel the Primogel goo with either sugar or rotten flesh. So all we do that is we just right click, and you'll notice that it begins to sort of crawl onto the blocks of iron. This will take a little bit of time, and you can actually fully enclose that as well, by the way. And after about a minute, we get these raw ferrocore ores instead of where we place the iron. So I recommend mining these with fortune, because we get raw ferrocore from this. And by the way, you can vein mine this. And we can just throw this inside of the furnace, and that will produce our ferrocore ingots. Nice. Oh, and I completely forgot to mention that this mod is actually made by the YouTuber named Direwolf20. Huge shout out to him. He's kind of the person who got me into modded Minecraft, so definitely a huge shout out. So the next tier is going to be Blaze Bloom Goo. And we craft this with Primogel Goo, as well as Blaze Powder, Nether Wart, and Redstone. Here we go. Oh, and I kind of forgot that this quest actually requires you to checkmark things first. So make sure you do that, and then you can actually continue on. So what we do with the Blaze Goo is very similar to what we did with the Primogel glue. Goo. I keep saying glue, it's goo. So I'll just place this down kind of randomly here. We can actually automate all of this later, but what we need is gold for this one. And we will need either blaze powder or I think it was nether wart. Let's use some blaze powder here. And that will begin to sort of spread onto the blocks of gold. So when those transform, it turns into raw blaze gold ore. So we can go ahead and mine those. And I think I'm just going to put a furnace up here just because it's going to be a little bit more convenient. I will need the factory upgrade for it. So of course we just smelt that down, and that will turn into blaze gold ingots. And some of these are actually required for advanced AE, so whenever we get into advanced AE, it's definitely good to have just dire things at least set up a little bit in your world. But yeah, it's used to actually craft the blaze gold tier of items. And I guess I kind of did a poor job of explaining what just dire things is all about. Just dire things is about pretty much everything. It's very much a utility mod. So we have things like tools. Some of these can actually be powered instead of using durability. We have armor. And then we also have these block breakers. We have clickers, fluid placers, and all sorts of items here, and higher tier versions over here as well. Like I mentioned, we have the time wand, and there are all sorts of goodies and hidden gems in this mod. So the next tier is going to be Void Shimmer Goo. This is going to be an end game one, by the way, so it does require Blaze Boom. It does require Blaze Boom. It does require Blaze Bloom Goo, and of course, Dragon's Breath and Endstone and Ender Pearls. So this recipe is only unlocked after you go to the end. But we can go ahead and place this down in here as well. I'm just going to place that temporarily. I don't remember which material that we need for this. I'll have to look it up really quick. But we'll probably want to break through the wall, I guess. So to fuel this one, we need either ender pearls or chorus fruit. Oh, right, of course. This one takes diamond, which is the next tier up. So we'll just place that over here, actually. I think there's enough room. And we need to give it a chorus fruit. And that will now begin to spread. And that will produce raw Celesti Gem ore. So we'll go ahead and mine that. And we can run that through... Actually, I don't think that this one requires smelting. I think it's just... Yeah, it's just the item itself. So we can claim our rewards from those. And we can begin to talk about the next step, the Shadow Plxgue. This will actually require a bunch of the stuff from the Deep Dark. So we'll actually need to go and find some Skulk Shriekers, but otherwise we have pretty much everything else. So mining these can be a little bit tricky. It shouldn't be too bad though. And oh, I'm just remembering that this actually require a hoe. Shoot, and I don't know if it'll need Silk Touch. Let's see. It needs a Silk Touch hoe, okay. By the way, we can use the enchanter from Mystical Agriculture to get Silk Touch. We're just going to need 32 slime balls and 128 experience essence. That's not going to be too bad. And there we go. Now I should be able to get this Shrieker without any problems. Hopefully. There we go. Okay, that set those ones off, but it didn't set this one off. Ooh, that one went off though. I'll just take you with me then. So now we should be able to craft our Shadow Plxgue. Here we go. Now this one's going to be a little bit more tricky because we actually need blocks of netherite. So if you don't have netherite set up already, it might be a good idea to do that before actually doing this one. So we'll get that placed down. I think right here we'll do. And what's the item we need for this? We actually need, right, okay. Skulk blocks, I think. So we can go ahead. I'll get these blocks down first. Yikes, this one's so expensive. Here we go. And that creates raw Eclipse alloy ore. So we can go ahead and mine that. And this one does require smelting. Here we go. And we can claim our rewards from that. And now I think I want to make a brand new Paxel. And I think I'm going to go with the Eclipse alloy one. So let's see how we actually craft this. So it looks like there's a couple of methods that we can actually use to craft the Paxel. What we could do is just combine 3 of the Eclipse alloy tools, the shovel, axe, and pickaxe. That seems a little bit expensive though, considering this is netherite. The alternative way to do this would be to actually upgrade a Celesti Gem Paxel into the Eclipse alloy Paxel. I think that'll be a little bit easier. And we can actually craft that just by crafting the 3 different tools that we need. So this doesn't look too bad. We just need the Celesti Gem and some sticks. So here's the pickaxe, the axe, and the shovel. And you'll notice that those actually do use energy and they filled up immediately because we have wireless power. And now inside of a smithing table, we just throw all 3 of these inside. And hopefully that'll work. There we go. And that will produce our Celesti Gem Paxel. Now all we need to do is craft a template Eclipse alloy, which is crafted with an upgrade blank, as well as a few Eclipse alloy ingots. Then we just combine all of these in the smithing table with an Eclipse alloy ingot, and that produces an Eclipse alloy Paxel. Nice. So we can claim our rewards from that. By the way, don't forget to checkmark this quest right there. Otherwise, these will not actually complete. Here we go. And we also need to checkmark armor to get the upgrade blank quest done as well. Speaking of upgrades, we actually have a couple of things that we can do now. So these upgrades will allow us to basically add enchantments to the tool or armor as well. And I think the most powerful one is the upgrade Instant Break. So we should probably try to make our way towards that. However, this will require time crystals. And we're not quite there yet. And I was actually curious to see if this could be enchanted regularly because I didn't see a lot of options. And it looks like it actually can, so... I might be removing all of my enchantments from my netherite paxel and moving them onto this one. And we might need to quickly speed run industrial foregoing as well, because I think the only way to remove enchantments in this mod pack is with the enchantment extractor. I think there might be another way with anvils though, so I might try that method really quick. So I'll test this out with a pair of boots. I need to turn my magnet off though. Let's just right click that. There we go. So I'll put down the boots, a couple of books, and then throw an anvil on top. I think that's how this is supposed to work. Or maybe we need obsidian underneath. Sorry, it's been quite a while. Let me look this up again. Alright, yeah, I do think that we need obsidian underneath. And I think we just go like that. And hey, it looks like it actually worked. So we got mana regen, projecting 2, and the enchantments are off of there. Perfect. Okay. So we should be able to do that with our netherite paxel. Oh man, I'm kind of nervous though. So we'll throw the paxel down. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we need 7 books. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. We throw down the anvil. And there we go. It should be completely disenchanted now. It is. And we got all of our enchantments back. Nice. There's a few that we could have upgraded by now, like efficiency. But I definitely wanted to save a few of these, especially like Silk Touch, for example. And I think I'm going to use a little bit of redstone on this as well. I know eventually we'll get Instant Break, but we need to get into time crystals and all of that first. So I think this will do for now. So we just need 80 redstone. Not too bad, actually. There we go. A little bit more experience. Can throw that on. Oh, interesting. That actually doesn't work there. We might just need a book then. And that's only efficiency 2. There we go. We just needed a little bit more experience essence. By the way, if you notice that this isn't updating, you can just remove one of the items, place it back in, and it will actually update. So there's efficiency 5. We won't need mending or unbreaking on this, fortunately. Let's see. We'll also need probably capturing. I don't know if we can get capturing at the enchanter, though. Alright, so I think I got our enchantments all sorted out now. So I have Sharpness 5, Bane of Arthropods 4, don't really need that. That was just part of one of the other books. Silk Touch, of course, Efficiency 5, Tombstone Soulbound, Ruthless Strike 3. Don't know exactly why I have that one as well. I think it was just part of another book. And Capturing 4. I just went through and combined a bunch of capturing books that I had. And yeah. We have Capturing 4 now, which means that we might get a few more spawn eggs as we keep going. So I think the first upgrade that I actually want to craft for this is the Drops Teleport upgrade. This will basically make it so that items will automatically go into my inventory whenever I mine something. So there we go, we already have everything for it. So to apply an upgrade, all you need to do is put it inside of a smithing table with your weapon that you want to add the upgrade to, and it will go ahead and add it. So now when I break something, for example this smithing table, it will actually appear in my inventory, or it's supposed to. It might have gone into my system here though. Let's double check. That could be pretty useful actually. Yeah, that's it might be a little bit inconvenient at times though. So if you want to actually change these settings on some of these upgrades, if you just shift right click into the air, it'll actually open up this little inventory here, and you can actually right click that and it will actually sort of show you the different settings of the thing. If you left click it, it'll actually completely toggle off. go. So we can go ahead and break that now. And I thought that would toggle it off. Maybe not. So if you actually go ahead and set a key for it, it will actually allow you to toggle the ability for it. So let's try that again. Should be disabled. There we go. And I think that wound up back in my inventory. It seems to just be disappearing. I'm not entirely sure why either. Oh, I'm kind of being a derp here. It's getting sucked in my into my system because of my backpack. I'll do this somewhere else. Sorry about that. Here we go. Now let's try it out. There we go. So now we can toggle it back on. Or I guess that was enabled. Huh. I don't know if this upgrade actually works or not. And I should probably learn how to read. It actually drops the items into an inventory that's bound to the tool. So if I shift right click the diamond backpack, for example, and then I go pretty far away, and then make sure, oops, that's enabled. If I break that, okay, I think it went into the inventory now. Okay, so that's how that one works. The next one that I want to craft is the upgrade mob scanner. This will basically highlight enemies that are nearby, but I guess it only works on weapons, unfortunately. So that one won't work for a Paxel, for example. Anyway, we're starting to get a little bit off topic of the goal of today's episode, which is to continue to work towards the Philosopher's Fuel. So what we needed to craft today was the Eclipse Ember Fuel. So to get this, we're going to need to get the Shadow Plxgue, and we're going to need to surround it by unrefined Eclipse Ember Fuel. And this is crafted by dropping Eclipse Ember inside of the Void Flame Fuel. And Void Flame Fuel is the previous tier, so it looks like we just need to keep... Yeah, we just need to go through each of these. And I think the starting point here is the polymorphic fuel. So we need to drop polymorphic catalyst inside of water to create that. And this is just made with nether wart and blaze gold ingots. So to do this, I think I'm just going to surround a primal goo in water. And we'll throw the polymorphic catalyst into each of these. And that produces polymorphic fluid. And now we just need to surround the primal goo in coal blocks. And this will actually produce primal coal. And this one's kind of hard to see the actual spreading, but it is spreading. All right, and that has now finished, and we can go ahead and mine it down. And that produces our primal coal. Now, so this next step actually requires blaze bloom inside. So we throw that inside of the... So what we do now is we actually turn that into primal coal blocks, and we put those next to blaze bloom goo, and that should begin to turn it into blaze ember now. There we go. And we just want to toss that into these pools. There we go, and that produces unrefined blaze ember fuel. And what we do now with that is we place one of the other higher tier goos in the middle there, and we feed it a nether warts, and that should begin to convert that into the next tier. So now it should be blaze ember fuel, which it looks like it is. And now we need to produce void flame coal, and we do that by placing blaze ember blocks next to void shimmer glue or shadow Plxgue. By the way, this mod can be automated pretty easily using either AE or actually using some of the items from the mod itself. And it might be a little bit easier as well, especially if you're earlier on in the game. Currently, though, I'm kind of just speed running this a little bit. But I will eventually set up some infrastructure for this. But for now, I think I just want to throw this inside of these pools. We're missing one. But I think the only sort of thing left now is to make some Eclipse Ember and throw that inside of the Void Flame Fuel. That's what we just made here, by the way. And this is actually still unrefined, so what we need to do is place a Shadow Plxgue inside, and that will actually refine it into the next tier. And it's now regular Void Flame Fuel. All right, so I've made a Void Flame coal block, and that is now being spread by the Shadow Plxgue. And this should be our Eclipse Ember, I think it was called. Yeah, Eclipse Ember. And we just toss these inside of the liquid here. And the Shadow Plxgue will begin to spread and refine it into, I believe, what we needed. Here we go. It's going pretty quickly. That looks like the correct fluid. So we can go ahead and... I thought we could right-click that. Oh, no. Oh, shoot. So let's see if we can bucket into a mechanism tank. There we go. So that's 1 bucket's worth, and then what we'll probably end up doing, is not that. I don't know what this stuff will do. Hopefully it doesn't really do anything. By the way, shift scroll wheel to change the bucket mode. I forgot that a few episodes ago. So we'll get a pipe going here. The wrench. And we can bucket that into our dark tank. Hopefully. Oh, that does not want to go inside of that tank. Maybe we have to configure this. There we go. Using a mechanical pipe from Mechanism actually worked there. So we have 1 bucket now inside of our dark tank, and we're gonna need 16, so we gotta keep on this grind. However, I'm kind of getting sick of doing this all manually, so what I might do instead is actually invest in some of the machines that are a part of this mod, such as the block breakers, the clickers, and the block placers. All of these will actually be very useful in completely automating this process. All right, and I've just set up a little automation here for our coal. This is using the Just Dire Things block placer, the block breaker, the simple clicker, as well as the item collector, and a few drawers from the functional storage mod. And basically what it does is it places down a block of coal down here on the top. Once it actually forms, it will break it with the block breaker here in the back. I'm feeding it chorus fruit for now. This one, the Void Shimmer goo, is actually pretty quick. And we have plenty of chorus fruit, and we can also switch to ender pearls later as well if we need to. The advanced block breaker here is just using a Celesti Gem pickaxe here inside, and this will actually take power from the block itself, which is being powered, or it was being powered. I did move this machine around a little bit. There we go. Just need to provide it with a little bit of power. You can set the speed of how often you want this thing to mine as well. Same with the other blocks. I have it set to 900. That seems a bit slow, but when I was first doing it, it just kept breaking it a little bit too early. So I think that's probably about what I'm going to need. So I'll probably make a machine or a little automatic system for the other processes here as well, because we need to actually get all the way up to the Eclipse Ember, which requires Void Flame, which requires the Blaze Ember, so we'll probably need to set up a system for each of these as well. All right, and just a little while later, I have completely automated basically all of the processes up to the Eclipse Ember tier. So I've just made that same machine just 3 more times. So we have one set up with Blaze Bloom goo. This one creates the that one creates the Blaze Embers. The next tier up creates the Void Flame Coal, and the one above that, of course, is Eclipse Ember. These aren't hooked up with my AE system or anything like that, and they're not even really hooked up to each other. I still have to go through and manually craft them up to the next stage, but I think that's okay for now. I don't want the system overflowing with items anyway. So this should definitely help us. This should definitely help us with actually creating the fluids that we need. And yeah, I still have not even touched this process after I did the initial 3 buckets. But I do have a few quests here that we can actually claim the rewards from. Here we go. Most of these ones basically just give you experience, but there is a few things here that are pretty nifty. Oh, and I just noticed that I had one of them misconfigured. The simple clicker was actually just placing the sculk right here for some reason, but we got that resolved. But we are completely out of time for this episode, so I think in between episodes, I think I'll keep working towards actually getting more of that fuel and just keep grinding away. I know that it's going to be a little bit tedious, so it's probably better just as an in-between episodes kind of task. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I'll catch you next time. Peace.